Sports movies. This will be
Sports
interesting.
movie.
Hit it, Doc.
Yeah, so sports movies. I guess I'll just jump right in.
Yeah.
Another one I hemmed and hawed on, to be honest with you. And before I get to my number one, I might change it again. We'll see. So it's really that tight for me. I've changed this one like 3 times. Hoosiers is number 5 for me, out of the gate.
Yeah.
And then you'll see my real fascination with baseball as we go along here. So my number 4 is 8 Men Out.
That's a good one.
My number 3 is Field of Dreams.
Another one.
My number 2 is Raging Bull.
Okay.
And my number 1, it's not the best movie or anything along those lines. It just, it meant a lot to me probably when I watched it and everything else. And I just love the story with it. And I really love the acting. And I know some of it is far-fetched in some senses, but it's just a baseball movie. And I'm going with The Natural. That's my number 1.
I like that too. They're all good. They're all great.
Still one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I considered every one of them that you mentioned, every one. And some of them I
Did
have.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What you got, Brian?
That makes me feel better.
Good.
At number 5, I had Vision Quest.
Oh, yeah, the wrestling.
Yeah, the wrestling one. I like that. I thought it was really good. Kind of a, one of those triumphant kind of films. You triumph at the end if you work hard type of situations. I also had Hoosiers, number 4. I had also had 8 Men Out. I could watch that movie again and again and again, and have a different opinion about how I feel about the situation. Time that I watch it. Sometimes I feel sympathetic. Sometimes the purist in me does not feel sympathetic.
Yeah, sometimes I'm thinking, what the hell were these guys doing?
Right,
It's
exactly. Number 2, I had Bull Durham. I like that movie a lot. And my number 1, though, I needed to help it out a little bit, was Major League. I wanted to give Major League their chance again. So I put Major League right here because I felt so bad about not allowing them to win comedy. But
so they won here. So hey, that's a real high one for you.
It's got everything. I mean, basically the whole premise of the movie is this pretentious wife whose husband died wants to relocate her team from Cleveland to Miami. And so she's basically trying to tank the season by putting the worst possible team that she can find on the field. And the best quote in the movie surrounds that, in which she says, "I want to put a team together that'll help us relocate to Miami." And the general manager says, "Some of these guys are furniture movers." It's like one of the best lines ever. And I was like, it is a classic. That movie, every time I'll watch it all the way through. If it's on somewhere, I'll watch it. It's not a problem. I love that movie.
It's a great flick, man, for sure. Very
good. So that's the first one we've had that made it into 2 categories, right?
2 categories, yeah.
Okay. My sports, I've got number 5, Hoosiers. So we hit on that one as well. All 3 of us had that.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman, Dennis Hopper's in there. Good stuff. Number 4, I consider it a sports movie, Chariots of Fire.
Wow. Yeah.
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 The story of those Olympic runners from the 1924 Olympics. I really, at the time, I remember seeing it in the movie screen, in the big screen in the movies, and I really thought it was fantastic. Haven't seen it that much on TV since, but it's a good movie. Running on the beach in the mist and all that stuff. It was effective.
Won a lot of awards too, didn't it, Rich?
A soundtrack by Vangelis.
Oh,
it won the soundtrack. It actually won Best Picture that year in '81. It beat out Raiders. It beat out Reds. It beat out Ragtime. It was I believe it was on Golden Pond. Those were the 5 that were nominated, and Chariots won it.
Really?
So it may not be that way today. If they had to revote, it probably wouldn't win. But at that time, they were giving out British movies, and they were highbrow, and that's the movie they picked.
Right.
Number 3 is another movie that's borderline sport, but I consider it a sport, and that's The Color of Money, billiards with Paul Newman and Tom Cruise. I always watch it. It's a remake of the Hustler, of course. Paul Newman, let me think about it, 25 years down the road. He's an old, sort of washed up guy. He's still trying to hustle out there, and he takes on Tom Cruise as a protege, and he's trying to teach him the way these little pool halls run, and who are the sharks, and who are the guys you can beat in the long run. So Tom Cruise is good, and he plays his usual hotshot character who thinks he's got all the answers, and it's a fantastic movie. Love it. Forrest Whitaker's in there, one of his early roles, and Paul Newman won the Oscar. Martin Scorsese directed it. They made up for the Oscar because the verdict, they screwed Paul, but they gave it to him for this. So
Did they
great
ever?
movie. What goes around comes around. Number 2, I wanted to have a baseball movie, being it's my favorite sport, and I considered all the ones you mentioned, but I went with Bull Durham with Mr. Costner and Susan Sarandon. They have the romance in there and the minor league thing. They capture that perfectly. You got what's the face in there? Tim Robbins. Tim Robbins. He's excellent in that movie. As the pitcher.
It was like they knew what pitch was coming, eh?
Yeah, I love that. I think anything moving that fast should have a stewardess on it.
Yeah. Exactly. But I considered Field of Dreams, The Natural, and 8 Man Out. They're all written down here. I wanted to.
Perfect.
I didn't want to have 5 baseball movies, so I wanted to spread the love. Number 1, I had to go with Raging Bull. I think it's the best sports movie of the decade. The boxing scenes in there are phenomenal in black and white. Even though you don't get the gore in bloody red, you still see the dripping on the ropes of the blood drops, and people in the audience are getting sprayed with punches, and it's just fantastic. He takes you inside the ring. You can feel the ribs sometimes getting broken there. It's just tremendous filmmaking. De Niro, of course, what can you say about De Niro? I think he gained
70
pounds for the role.
Yeah.
Joe Pesci is his brother.
Yeah.
I mean, that put him on the map as an actor.
It did.
Yeah, he did.
And the camaraderie they have, the squawking, the fighting, the language. You talk about language in
My
Midnight
God.
Run.
Yeah.
This takes it to a new level. I mean, this is just ridiculous. Even his wife, Kathy Moriarty, is his wife. She's a typical New Yorker with the accent. She won't take shit off anybody, but she gets into some squabbles with Jake LaMotta, played by De Niro, and it's hard to watch some of the things that goes on there. And it's based on his true story. I mean, it's not very flattering at all, but just on the sports element,
it's a very unflattering movie, to be honest with you.
It's completely unflattering.
Totally.
Well, I think it was supposed to be. I mean, Rocky was quite glamorous in the way they portrayed boxing.
Totally.
Like it was almost like dancing. Whereas they portrayed Raging Bull as these guys just getting in there and just beating on each other.
Beating the crap out of each other.
It wasn't this dance. It was brawling.
Yeah.
And
then, in the domestic part of it, it's just a character study of Jake LaMotta, what he was like as a person. He was a raging bull is what he was. And that's
he was a raging bull. I mean, to Brian's point there, it was shown that way because that's the way he was. He was a real killer in the ring, man. That guy would come at you, and he was a killer.
Yeah,
that's what he was.
So that's sports. Let's head over to war. Thanks. War films.
War. Man, these categories were not easy. I'll tell you, some of these were really tough. So
very difficult.
Yeah. We'll jump in with war. So out of the 80s, my number 5, I'm going with Hamburger Hill. That's my number 5. Man, violent as hell, I'll tell you. And it's and not all these movies are going to depict, are going to be totally historically accurate or whatever, but they are movies of whatever they are. So I try to leave one side out of it and just take the movie for what it is almost. My number 4 is The Empire of the Sun. So maybe not a shock to you guys. I like that one, but
I love it.
It's a great flick. It's still think Spielberg kind of got burned on that one a little, but that's me. It's a great flick. Yeah. My number 3 is Full Metal Jacket. That one. The first 45 or 50 minutes of that movie still stand out to me as you can't forget it. It's it'll stick with you no matter what, and it's powerful stuff. My number one and two, another one of these I debate back and forth, and then I ended up. So my number two is Platoon. It's great. The performances are fantastic. You know, it's an Oliver Stone movie. Oliver's making some pretty good movies at this time. Be it writing, be it directing, or both, whatever the case may be.
Yep.
But my number one has to go to Das Boot.
Ooh, nice.
It's if you got 3 hours of your life, you'll tell you, you might not know it, but then you'll be reading the screen for 3 hours of your life or whatever it might be, depending on what cut you get. But it is it's a true story talking about the U-boats, and just from the other side of the coin, but that has nothing to do with how the story gets told. It's just a war movie that is told so well, and the way it's directed, and it's Wolfgang Peterson doing something probably his best. You know, this isn't Air Force One. This isn't anything along those lines. This is
Right.
This is really a powerful movie, and it stands out as my best of the '80s Den War movies.
Very good.
Good. Like it.
Thanks.
Side note on Platoon, I recommend that, you know, for all young people out there watching, do not take your date to see Platoon on the first date. I actually did that. That's
Ooh.
probably not a good move. Just helping the young people out there.
Good heads up, Brian. Good heads up, buddy. That's good advice out there for all those people.
I have a question, Brian. Is this person you took to the date, did she turn out to be your wife, or was it somebody else?
No, that's somebody else. It's
Okay.
definitely somebody else. Yeah, that didn't last long.
That didn't pretty much didn't go
In
over.
fact, that was it right then and there. That was the end of the day. That was it.
That's
End of
probably it
date.
right there. It's like, that's it.
Didn't even go for a soda after that one.
All right. For me, I had number 5. I had Glory
Right flick.
down for that. Nice film all the way around. Number 4, I had Casualties of War.
Ooh, nice.
Which
Another good one.
has Sean Penn in it, Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
A little heavy in places, you know, but you know, gives you some kind of accurate depiction on some of the terrible things that would happen behind the scenes that have nothing to do with war.
It's De Palma, isn't it? On that one, Brian?
What's that?
That's
yes.
De Palma.
Yes,
right?
yeah, it is absolutely. Yeah. Number 3 for me was Platoon, so that's in there for sure. I thought William Dafoe and is it Tom Berenger?
Tom Berenger.
The two sergeants in there. I mean, that had so many people in it. It was crazy. I mean, I even saw John C. McGinley was in that.
That's right.
Yes, he was.
Yeah. So, I mean, it had a lot of people in that movie. Number 2 for me, I had Das Boot.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Right on, buddy.
I saw that movie back way back when, and I really took to it. I thought that it was just puts you right there.
Yeah.
It just puts you right there. Like it's almost like you were there, and that's all that stuff that was happening to you, and you were just bearing witness like you were right there on the deck. So right. I thought it was great. But number 1 for me is Full Metal Jacket. I like this movie because it's Kubrick. One, I love Kubrick stuff. It's really 2 movies. There's the first 45 minutes, you know, like you said, of the boot camp sequence, which as a military person, I'll tell you, it felt so real. It's absolutely, that's how it is.
My God.
And it was so close to everything that you would imagine. And it's got, you know, Arlie Ermey's in it, Vincent D'Onofrio. And then of course you go to the second half of the movie, and then that's when it's the action and everything. But right. The greatest part about it was this arc of Joker that comes from this goofy, fun-loving guy, and right. by the end of the movie, he's holding a pistol, not even 4 feet from somebody's face, and pulls the trigger.
Yeah.
Now you could say it's an act of mercy that what he did for the person, but the type of person you would have to become to be able to do something like that just showed me how far the arc actually came for that character. And it's a powerful movie. It really is.
Really is.
Very good. You guys are making me look bad because I didn't take Das Boot. I didn't put any foreign movies on the list, and I probably should have because it's that good. It really is. And now that you're bringing back the memories of it, it's a classic, man. A couple of things I wanted to touch on. The Hamburger Hill, I have not seen. One I have missed. So I got to catch up with that. It's been on cable lately, and I need to see that. And Casualties of War is a good movie. It's tough to watch. It's
Yeah.
a dark
Yep.
kind of movie,
Mhm.
but it's very well good. Very well made. Sean Penn and Michael J. Fox in that. So I wanted to just touch on those points. A lot of the same repeated movies here. Number 5, I have Glory, the Civil War about the Black Regiment, Denzel, Morgan Freeman, Matthew Broderick. I think it's an excellent movie. Number 4 is Empire of the Sun. I couldn't leave it off. Christian Bale in that movie is this 12-year-old kid stuck, loses his parents. He's just meandering around and as a POW pretty much. And it's his story. He's practically in every scene. It's tremendous. And that was, you could see him laying the groundwork for what was to come, being a great actor.
Yep.
As a kid, he was fantastic in that movie. Another one of probably Spielberg's most underrated movie, in my opinion. It really is,
Yeah, it could be.
because he's made some movies that may be a little bit overrated. He's made some that are, Oscar winners and this and that, but that movie doesn't get the love and support that it should. My number 3 we haven't talked about yet, but it's a movie that I really love, and that's Born on the 4th of July, another Oliver Stone movie. There's not that much war in it, but it's more of the after effects, what happens to Tom Cruise, and how his view of war changes from this gung-ho kid who can't wait to go out and fight for his country, and he gets paralyzed, of course, and then he has to deal with these hospitals that are shitholes, excuse my language. They don't take care of the people, the veterans, and it paints a pretty bleak picture. There's no, he gets booed at a parade, I believe, and there's a lot of negativity behind the soldiers that fought in that war, because it was such an unpopular war. And I think Cruise has never been better. I love the movie, and I watch it whenever I can. 2 is Platoon. We all have that on our list. The Defoe and Berenger stuff is fantastic. They're both nominated for supporting actor. I even think Charlie Sheen's good in that movie
He is good in
as
that movie.
as the lead
Yeah.
actor. There's so many images in there. I don't want to make this too long, but there's that My Lai massacre type scene in the movie where they take on this village and just
The village.
obliterate people.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. It's an eye opener, and like Brian said, don't take a date to this one. Don't take a date to this
Don't
movie
do
the
it.
first time out,
Yeah.
because it's not going to go well. And my number 1 is Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
I can't get around it. The dichotomy of that first 45 minutes in boot camp, and then showing up in, I think it's Da Nang in Nam somewhere, and like Brian said, with the arc of the Joker character. Of course, the D'Onofrio character only is in the first half for obvious reasons, but he's great. Arlie Ermy, I mean, have you ever seen a better performance? Even though he's playing himself, he was a drill sergeant
Yeah.
in
That's
real
right.
life.
Weren't they? So he's just supposed to be just an advisor, right?
Yeah,
And then they just said, well, hell, just let the guy do it.
Yeah, just let them do it.
Yeah.
he lives and breathes that stuff. I mean, who was going to do it any better? He was just fantastic in that movie. And that's another foul mouth one. Some of the language, it's funny at the same time though, when they're doing
Boot
those
camp-
routines.
camp was
Yeah.
just like that.
This is your soldier, this is your gun. I mean, all that
Yeah.
stuff. I love it. And
This one's for fighting and this one's for fun.
exactly. I couldn't remember the exact line, but
My favorite quote, I got to share it with you guys, was when Joker says, half of the gook whores are serving officers in the Viet Cong. The other half have got TB. Be sure that you're screwing the ones that cough. That was like, that's classic.
I know.
What a line.
Great stuff. That whole thing with him being, didn't he call him Jelly Donut at some point? He's overeating, he's fat,
Yeah,
he's trying to get him
yeah.
into shape. Just Private Pile.
Private Pile.
Pile.
And then that mercy killing at the end. I wanted to hit on that too, because that was a tough scene
Yeah.
to watch, man.
It
Tough
was.
scene to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, just the brutality. But Kubrick, I think he made one of the best war movies of all time. I mean, that can't be touched. And I like, I don't know if you've seen it. I'm getting off topic here, but Paths of Glory from 1957 is another
Yeah. Yep.
war movie from Kubrick early in his career, and to me, it's all-star material. Anyway, that's the war movies. I think we did well there. We covered some monumental films.